Welcome to the second live session of ULab 2017. My name is Otto SCHARMER. I am co-facilitating this session. So what you see here behind me is the capture the drawing that Kelvy did last time, 4 weeks ago, when we had the first live session. Back then, we kicked it off, the journey, and then, 4 weeks went by with lots of sensing activities. And today, the main focus will be on the bottom of the U, connecting to our deeper sources of knowing, both individually and collectively. And as you know, probably from the announcements, the main thing you need today is three things, actually. A journal, or lots of paper, a pen, and a little quiet space that allows you to really move into the more meditative and contemplative practice we are going to use today without a lot of external disruption. So maybe as a way of transitioning, let's take a deep breath and let's move into a little moment of stillness together as a global community right now in order to move through this transition of looking at the current reality as we just did, and yet not just reacting to that, but connecting to our deeper sources of knowing. So if you want to sit upright and comfortable, place your hands maybe on your knees or wherever it's comfortable. Plant your feet firmly in front of you, and take a deep breath and relax. Move your attention downwards to your feet. Attend to your feet and attend to your connection downwards to earth. If you were trees, we would have physical roots. As human beings, we do not have physical roots, but we still can feel the connection. Now slowly move your attention upwards, up the legs, to the middle sphere of your body. Attend to your heart. Attend to the energy field of your heart. And notice that it's our heart which is the source of an intelligence that allows us to connect horizontally to all the other beings that are surrounding us. Notice your heart. Notice your connection to all the other members of the ULab community. Thousands of us across places, across all cultures. Some of us in a community, in a hub, others of us alone, but still connected to each other. different sectors, different systems, different geographies, yet connected by this very moment, by attending to our body of relationship together, to our field of connections. And now slowly move your attention upwards to your head, to the crown of your head, and attend to the connection upwards. Attend to your head and attend to your connection upwards. And now feel the energy from your feet, from the earth, moving through your heart and radiating outwards from your head. Outwards, upwards, into the sky. And now notice that this energy is not only going through you, it's going through each of us who come together in this moment for the bottom of the U practice. So across all these countries and all these places, we are feeding these connections downwards, going through our heart to each other, and outwards, upwards. And now notice that this energy is not only going through you, it's going through each of us who come together in this moment for the bottom of the U practice. So across all these countries and all these places, we are feeding these connections downwards, going through our heart to each other and outwards, upwards. And slowly let go of that. Now notice that this energy is not only going to you, slide into the background. Each of us. We can come together. Open your eyes. Take a deep breath and relax. And now take your journal. Most of you know kind of the practice of journaling already. You take the pen, you put it on paper, you just start writing. So in this case, I'm giving you one question at a time, and about a minute or so per question. So you just number your response and write whatever comes through your mind, through your heart, through your hand. We'll supply you with the list of questions later on. You don't need to write them down. You just number your response. Number one. Over the past few weeks, as you have moved into the 2017 ULAB journey, What have you been noticing about yourself? And when I say self, I always mean two things. My small s self, my current self, and my capital S self, my highest future potential. So I mean both of these. Over the past few weeks, as you have moved into your ULAB 2017 journey, what have you been noticing about yourself? Number two, where do you feel the future? The future shows up first in our feelings and only later in our head. So where in your current work and life do you feel the future? And for some of you that may be very specific, for others it may be very vague, a very vague sense of the future. That's perfectly fine. So where in your current work and life do you feel, do you have the sense of a future possibility that wants to talk to you, that maybe is connected with your journey forward? Number three, I once asked a teacher, how do I find the purpose or the calling in my life? Answer, pay attention to your frustration. We are only frustrated about things that really matter to us. So here's number three. What frustrates you the most? What in your current work and life are your most important sources of frustration? Number four, sources of happiness. What in your current work and life are your most important sources of energy, positive energy, creative energy, and happiness? What is nourishing you? Number 5, helicopter point of view. So if you look at your current situation from a helicopter type of perspective from above, if you look at the bigger picture from above, what do you see? What is it that in the current stage of your life's and work's journey you're really trying to do? Number 6. So stay at the helicopter perspective, but now look at the collective journey that you feel being part of. So, for some of you that may be your organization, it may be your network or community, it may be a global movement, whatever it is. So given the collective journey that you feel being part of, what is it that you as a community of change makers need to let go of? And what is it that you need to learn? So again, bigger picture, helicopter view, but now look at the collective journey. What is it that we collectively need to let go? And what is it that we need to learn? Number 7, questions. As you kind of come back to the here and now, and as you contemplate the journey ahead and the current moment, kind of the choices that you need to make, what questions come up for you now? No need to answer them, just kind of write down the questions. As you reflect on your current moment, what questions come up for you now? Eight, younger self. So remember a specific situation when you were younger, somewhere early in your journey, maybe right after high school or as a 12 or 15-year-old. a specific situation when you were contemplating the journey, which at that point was all in front of you, kind of ahead of you. So remember that specific situation, right after high school, whenever that is, and remember the feeling you had when you were looking forward at that point. Now remember that person you were back then, when that person could enter the room and could sit right next to you and talk to you now. What would she or he say? So number 8 is let your younger self enter the room, sit next to you, and let your younger self talk to you now. Just write it down what it is. If your younger self could see you in your current situation, what would she say? What would he say? Number 9, footprint. Imagine we could fast forward our life to the last moment, to when we meet the threshold of death, which at some point will come for each of us. So imagine when that moment will come at some future point, that just before it happens, we could stop and turn around and look back at the wholeness of the journey, which at that point will be behind us. So when that moment comes and you stop and turn around and look back, what is it that you want to see? In other words, what is the footprint you want to leave behind on this planet when it's time for you to move on? So when you're done with number 9, put your journal away for a little moment. We'll now move into the guided visioning, the second step. And again, sit upright and comfortable. Close your eyes. Make sure that you have like a little bit space ahead of you, because as part of the exercise, I'm going to ask you to stand up and with your eyes closed, take a few steps forward. So put yourself in a position where you have a little space in front of you. Sit upright and comfortable. Close your eyes if you want. Take a deep breath and relax. Feel your connection downwards, upwards, and merge these connections in your heart. Join them in your heart. Now, with your eyes closed, imagine you're standing in front of a gate. You're on this side of the gate. The gate is closed, and you cannot see what's on the other side. On this side is current reality, the world we know. And on the other side of the gate is the field of emerging future possibilities, which includes the emerging future possibilities for myself personally, relationally, professionally, in terms of institutions, organizations, even in terms of society. All of that is a field of possibilities. We don't know what it is. We don't know what it looks like, but we know it's there. It's a potential. It's a potential waiting for us to maybe making it happen. And at the count of 3, I'm going to ask you to open the gate and to watch what's on the other side. 1, 2, 3. Now, open the gate and watch what's on the other side. Whatever it is, just stay with it. Don't judge it. Just stay with it and allow it to take shape. At its own terms. If you want, you can add a little contrast, color, and brightness. And now at the count of 3, I'm going to ask you if you want to stand up and to cross the gate by making 2 small steps forward. 1, 2, 3. Stand up and cross the gate. And again, notice everything around you. Notice where you are. Notice your own feelings. So for some of us, the field of the future we now have stepped into already reveals something significant, maybe. For others of us, it's maybe more a transitionary state on our journey to a second field of the future that's behind this first one. The second field of the future is also sometimes called the inner temple, so it more deals with the interior dimension. So if you want to explore the second field of the future that's behind this first one, you can do so by taking another 2 or 3 small steps forward now. And again, notice everything around you. And notice how you feel. If this second field of the future you're now in is the more significant, stay where you are. If the first field of the future was the more significant and you prefer stepping back into that, you can do so now by taking 2 small steps backward now. So that now each of us is standing in the more significant field of the future. And again, with your inner senses, just scan the environment you're in. What is around you? Notice your feelings. And ask yourself where in this field of the future you're now standing in, do you feel drawn to most? If you identify that direction, turn that you are facing that direction. And now, if you want, take another 2 or 3 small steps into that direction in order to step into your real future place. Step into your real future place now. having stepped into your real future place. Who are you? Notice your downward connection, your upward connection. Notice the connection from your heart to everything that's surrounding you. Having stepped into your real self, what are you noticing? And slowly now turn around that you are facing the chair you have been sitting on just a few minutes ago. For a short moment, open your eyes, look at that empty chair, and imagine the person who has been sitting on that chair just a few minutes ago were someone different from yourself. You know that person well. It's the other part of yourself. It's that part of yourself that's still on the other side of the gate. Empathize with that person. You know that that person on that chair has good intentions. And that person is maybe also struggling a little bit. Could maybe need a little help at this point. So if you could, from the place you're standing in now, give one or two pieces of real true advice to the person on that chair, what would that be? Empathize with the person, allow that advice emerge from your heart, and then speak it with your inner voice now. When you have spoken the advice, notice whether there is maybe a second element of advice. And if that emerges from your heart, also speak that. And then slowly open the eyes. Feel the gratitude to the space you are now standing in. And slowly move out of that space, returning to the chair. Sitting down, taking the journal. And continuing the journaling with number 10, advice you just have been giving to yourself. Number 10, advice from self to self. Number 11. So number 11, we try to feel into the larger space around us. So if planet Earth and the whole kind of living ecosystem that we as humans are a part of, if all of this, if this kind of living ecosystem were a living being, what would that being feel right now? So number 11 is sensing into the larger ecosystem space. If planet Earth and the whole ecosystem that we are part of, that we belong to, were a living being, what would that being feel at this point? Number 12. So if that kind of living being, that emerging whole, could speak to us as a group, what would she say? So the living being, planet Earth, and its evolving essence, if that could speak to us as the global ULAB community, what would it say? What would she say? Just write down what it is. If that living being could speak to you right now, what would it say? Just write down the sentence. Vision and intention. So 14 is us coming back into the here and now and looking forward just the next 5 to 7 years. Just kind of something fairly concrete right in front of us. And 14 is clarifying your vision and intention by answering the question, what future do you want to create? Be specific. Include kind of the personal, the professional, the relational, the organizational. What future do you want to what future do you want to create? The more concrete, the better. Don't worry about the how, and don't worry about consistency. Just define the what. What future do you want to create? Make it concrete. Try to finish up 14, vision and intention, in the next few moments. And when you have, look at what you wrote and answer in 15 the question of letting go, which is, in order for you to bring all of that into reality that you just described, what is it you need to let go of? So what is the old skin you have to shed in order for your vision and intention to come into reality more fully? What do you need to let go of? Those can be assumptions, habits, competing commitments, whatever it is. Prototype. So if you would explore a piece of the vision and intention that you described by doing something within the next month or two, what might that be? Just, write down 1 or 2 options. A prototype is not too big, it's something you can do. You don't depend on too many others. And you do something. A plan is not a prototype. You do something that generates feedback from others, which helps you to refine your idea. Number 17, you probably know kind of the quote that we like to use, 5 people can change the world. So who are the 5 people in your world right now that, if connected with, could help you most to bring your vision and intention into reality more fully? Just put down the names of people you need to connect with in order to make it happen. And 18, and lastly, practical next steps. What might be some baby steps, kind of some mini actions you could take within the next 2 or 3 days that would allow you to move from reflecting on the future to making it happen, right? Who would you give a call? Who would you take a dialogue walk with? Who will you have a dialogue with right at the close of this session? So what might be your practical next step? Who would you invite for dinner? Write down the baby steps that you could take within the next 2 or 3 days. That move you into the process of realizing. So that brings us to the end of the journaling practice. In a few minutes, you will have the possibility to then take the next step. To, when you're in a hub, to turn to your neighbor and to share a little bit what came up for you. Or when you're alone, kind of to sit with the questions a little longer, kind of give yourself some extra time, maybe take a walk out into nature. So to somehow continue this process, if possible, in a way that works for you.